Hi everyone. Welcome back to your channel Relationship Anthology. This is your narrator and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. In today's first story, Opus found out that his wife, who he just married a month ago, had been cheating on him with his best friend while they were in their engagement period. After his wife stopped the affair partner then took his own life. Now his wife wants to reconcile, but Opus knows what happened and he'll be serving her with divorce instead. In the second story, Opus found out his wife cheated on him while he was at his cousin's funeral. Now let's get into today's stories. I and my wife have been married for just over a month. My friend worked with me for 3 years and was one of my best friends. One day we were lying in bed and she received a message from one of my friends and immediately swiped up. I asked her what it was and she told me she wants to protect her privacy. I reminded her that she's my wife and she should never hide anything, especially messages from other dudes. She freaked out by saying, "You don't trust me." I can't believe this. I was sleeping on the couch and then she deleted everything off her phone between him and her and blocked him on everything. The next day rolls around and she's still mad at me while I'm also still mad at her. I manned up and tell her she's lost some of my trust. But if she was being honest that it really was nothing, then I would forgive her if I can see the message. The next day I got woken up by a call from my coworker, a different one, that my friend killed himself. The night before I was dumbfounded and shocked. I had just seen him 2 days before and we were talking about him taking a day off to go fishing. I could tell that my wife was taking it hard too, and I thought it was odd because she had only met him 3 or 4 times. A few days later, the day after we celebrated our 1 month, I got a call from the wife saying she needed to talk to me. Then unloaded information that my wife and friend had been talking about for months. She came over and she showed me the messages that said, "I can't wait for our future together. I can't wait to meet our children, and I love you," and talked about how magical the other day was. I scrolled through the messages for about 30 minutes and didn't even get to the end of the week. The last text he sent was to my wife saying, "I love you, this isn't your fault." When I came home, she was gone. I went on a 2-day bender with no contact with her and called my family to let them know what happened. They then put me in contact with their lawyer, and after close to 6 hours of talking to him, I decided to file for a divorce. Last night I got a message from her that said, "I want to work through this and we should both go to individual and couples counseling." I haven't messaged her back. I'm terrified that she will try to rake me over the coals, but I hope that she is civil about everything and says my stuff is mine and your stuff is yours. I hope that she isn't pregnant too. Update. First, I wanted to say thank you to everyone for your support. This has been a hard few weeks, but I have gotten through it, mostly sober and well enough with the help of my friends and family. Second, I'd like to explain the backstory a bit. I and my future ex-wife have been dating for 6 years and engaged since February. We got married in September, and in most of that time we dated. I worked over the road for 4 years, and in the last 2 years I settled into a nice little town where there was steady work in my field that didn't require me to move around a lot. Third, the man that she cheated on me with was a good friend of mine. He lived in the same town that I settled in and we were fishing buddies for 2 to 3 years. I got him a job with me and we worked together for 3 years. I had him and his girlfriend over at my place for dinner and have been over at theirs for dinner multiple times. I didn't invite him to our wedding because of a joke he told where the punchline was about sleeping with someone's wife, and he stared at me for 1 or 2 seconds too long, and it made my stomach churn. Fourth, I discovered that my wife broke things off with him the day before he committed suicide and that my wife was the last person he texted before doing the deed. I did not attend the funeral or memorial service for the recently departed. I've been trying to keep my contact with my wife to as little as possible, answering questions about health insurance and other similar things. Shortly after my first post, I hired a lawyer and had him start writing up the paperwork for divorce. 3 to 4 days after she left, I was told by my friend that my wife texted her and said she was in the hospital for a suicide attempt. An hour later, I got a text from my wife saying she was released because she promised not to hurt herself to the staff. I think she was lying. That's not how hospitals in that area deal with life-ending attempts. A day after that, I got the Apple Watch from the departed man's girlfriend, which has messages dating back to the day that we got back from our honeymoon. In early October, I gave the watch to the lawyer and he has all the messages and pictures. Now for the case, they both deleted messages, so I can't see them till we get the phone back. From the police, there has really been no other communication besides setting up a time when she can come and get more of her clothes. I and my friend's girlfriend have talked occasionally and I thanked her for telling me, even though I know it must have been extremely heartbreaking for her. I'm going to be gifting her a lot of stuff or just probably anonymous cash in the mailbox to help her and her daughter out. The divorce was filed and she should be getting served soon by the end of today or by next week. I still do not think she knows about my plans for divorce, and I'm fine with that. The lawyer said that our state is a no-fault state, so technically she would have the ability to try and claim half of my things. But since the marriage was so short, the judge will just separate us with our things from before the marriage. I'm not looking to go after anything of hers. I don't want her car. I don't want her money. Not that she has any. I just want to keep my house, car, dogs, and retirement. And I just hope that she is not pregnant. Update 2. So after a while, more and more people from work started telling me that they knew about the affair but didn't want to tell me because it wasn't my place or I didn't want to make things awkward. Apparently the guy was not quiet about it and was sending her nudes around work. So I've had guys coming up showing me my wife saying, "Hey dude, isn't this your wife?" I also learned that she sent him money a couple of times, part of the money that I had sent her to pay for the wedding. I also learned that they had been continually calling each other daily 3 to 6 times a day for months, and at some point they had gotten a hotel room together sometime in August or September. She has continually lied until I brought up all the facts. She got served this weekend and I couldn't be happier. Although everything honestly seems bland and bleak, I spent the last 6 years of my life dedicated to her. We were planning our future and she threw it all away, and she really thought that there would be some semblance of forgiveness and a relationship that we could heal together. After this, I have my family and certain friends to thank for their constant love and support. I wanted to thank each and every one of you for your advice and support through this time in my life. While Opus, I'm incredibly sorry to hear what you have gone through. In my opinion, the only reason that your wife wants you back is that she can't have him. Her affair partner is gone, and knowing that means she needs someone to fall back on and sees you as that person. I'm glad to hear you did not tolerate that whatsoever and served her with divorce papers. Now she's lost both her affair partner forever, as well as her husband forever. She will now pay the consequences of her actions for the rest of her life and will have to live with the guilt of knowing that she ruined her marriage and caused another man to take his life. Talk about karma. Best of luck to you, Opus. Now let's get into today's second story. My ex-girlfriend and I were together for a little over a year, and I'm convinced she's a total and complete narcissist. I struggled with codependency, so it was a match made in hell. I was always too attached to her and continuously chased the love and affection she showered me with in the beginning, which quickly went away and never returned. Last November, she started seeing a guy that she works with. They're both personal trainers at a gym. I know I should have realized she would be shallow and dull, but I was just always in denial about her. There were all kinds of red flags that I ignored or made light of to avoid. Being alone, she was always belittling, demeaning, and gaslighting me. I had a habit of defending myself and would constantly argue with her. In November, right around our 1-year mark, she went to a movie together with another girl trainer and this guy. I will call him Steve. She didn't tell me about Steve or their plans until she was about to leave for this movie and got a call from him to confirm. I could hear it in her voice that she was into this dude. She lit up and was smiley and flirtatious. I told her this bothered me, and she again gaslighted me and shut me down. Then went anyway without considering to invite me. I was mortified. Shortly after that, she told me she wanted time and space from all our fighting. She used that time to go to a work party with Steve and then came back to his house after for a number of hours. I now know they watched a movie and he romantically showed her how to play guitar. Most likely they kissed then, but she claims nothing happened. Originally, she lied about this event entirely and said she was just out with work friends for a while, and then came home and that Steve wasn't there. Before this, when agreeing to the space and time, I asked if we would promise to not see other people until we decide whether to separate fully or stay together. We lived together at this time as well. One time, after the initial signs of infidelity, she said her passcode out loud one time, so I memorized it and was able to read their messages. I kept this hidden from her for a long time. I originally got her to tell the truth by saying my intuition was telling me she was lying, and it worked. There's probably still more to the story that she left out after she came clean and stopped lying. I almost left her, but she begged me to stay foolishly. I did. We moved into a new place together almost right after this to satisfy her unhappiness. Shortly after, she went out and did the same exact thing again this past weekend. I had a funeral to go back to in my hometown on Sunday for my first cousin to whom I was close with. I kept asking her to go with me for the support weeks in advance, but she had an inventory meeting on Sunday and made excuses for why she couldn't get out of it. Her and I got into a fight, so I left early on Saturday. She told me she was going to stay with her parents again after we got into that fight. While I was in town visiting my family on Saturday, she told me she was going to hang out with one of her girlfriends. She was so lazy about it that she didn't bother even giving any details. I instantly knew it was a lie. Sure enough, when I got home Sunday night, I read the messages on her Apple Watch. She left at our house. Turns out that the night before, instead of being with the girlfriend she said she was with, and she was actually with him. They went out and ate food, then went back to his place and were there until 11 p.m. I called her immediately and confronted her about it. After I read their conversations and she again persistently lied to me, she began to say they just hung out shortly after work and got Chipotle after. I told her I read her messages and knew she was lying. She finally knew she was cornered and confessed that she went there and that they kissed. They probably did more, but she claimed they didn't have sex. She was completely void of any remorse or guilt and actually got defensive and turned it around on me. Last night she came to talk to me about moving her stuff out of our place as we were clearly breaking up. But her actual motive was to come searching for her MDMA pills. I had already thrown them away. She got furious and started telling me that she was never sexually attracted to me and just forced it always, and that my quirks are weird and not lovable, and that she will eventually have sex with this guy just to rub it in and twist the knife in even further. We all know they have already had sex. She lies whenever she can. I have definitely told her off and given her an earful, but still I feel so depleted and angry. This is the worst betrayal I've ever experienced. I had a 1-year-long relationship with a pure narcissist. Here's how I know for sure. She brought the guy to my house after the cheating and breakup earlier in the day. I sent her an email telling her I'm going to leave all her stuff out on the sidewalk. Since I knew she spent the night at his house last night and lied to her parents about where she was staying, she didn't respond to my email, and hours later her and her new boyfriend literally showed up at my house unannounced and tried forcing their way in. I fought them off and didn't allow either one into my house, then stepped outside and had a verbal and then physical altercation with the douchebag. The guy was a small, bulky gym rat loser. We broke my allopot fighting and I scared them back off to her car. After they left, I moved all of her stuff outside onto the sidewalk and porch, some things broken. Hours later, my ex and her dad came to pick it all up. I was inside, but then I walked out, and as I passed her I spat in her direction while speaking on the phone to my grandfather. I walked my neighbor's porch who had witnessed the fight, and he came out to watch with me. She walked over to us and asked me if she needed to expect the police at her house, since I had threatened to file a restraining order. I replied, I don't know. Maybe she grumbled something, and then my neighbor and I told her to leave and she did. That was the last time I'll ever speak to her. Wow, Opus, I do not mean to pile on your pain, but I need to say this out of concern for you. You come off as quite the doormat in this story. You clearly knew a long time ago this girl was toxic and was going to hurt you, but you persisted in trying to fix the relationship. Please stop. If someone treats you disrespectfully like this, lies to you like this at the first sign, walk away. Not every relationship works. Not everyone is good. I wish you the best of luck in the future, Opus, and hope you can heal from this situation. Thanks for taking your time to listen to today's stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's stories. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.